let's talk about being an Enneagram 8, Wing 7, sexual subtype. If that is you, as it is me, and boy did it take a long time to figure that out. It's complicated. There's so much of a paradox concept involved in being 8 Wing 7, sexual subtype, and on top of that, being a guy. Like, I know that it seems somewhat like ironic for a female to be an 8, but when you're an 8 and you're a guy and the sexual subtype, there's almost something strangely feminine about that. I want to unpack that. Now you look at me like, yeah, well, you don't look like you're feminine at all. And I'm not. But there's a certain energy about me where I'm able to connect with women very easily. My entire life, it's been very easy for me to communicate with females. And even in my work, I work in a field that I'm one of the few guys and I'm surrounded by women. Now, I keep my masculine frame 100%, as I've talked before about, as far as feminine energy is chaos, conflict, emotional turmoil, whereas a man is going to be calm and rational and looking for there to be stability. That's the difference between male and female energy. But ultimately, despite me maintaining that masculine frame, I am able to communicate with women better than most men can. And it's because when you are a sexual 8, if that's your subtype, then you already are very aware that the currency that we all operate with as human beings, as far as making connections, it's about emotions. That's actually what it is. People are looking for people like them, or at least who can relate to them, to acknowledge how they feel. If someone's feeling sad about something, you don't say, cheer up, it'll get better. That's actually horrible. You need to acknowledge, well, tell me more about why you feel sad. I hate that you feel that way. Tell me more about it. See, simply by responding to that, you're getting them to be able to express their authentic self, because we can't ignore emotions are real. So is logic, but how you feel is just as much of a fact as any logic that would counter it. So if a person is sad, as a sexual 8, I'm going to acknowledge that they're sad and that they don't need to cheer up. They actually need to feel sad, and they need to tell me why they feel sad. They need to unpack that. Or if they're afraid about something, they've got anxiety about something, or they're excited about it. Well, then I'm going to match that energy, hold that mirror up and say, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you that you're getting to do that thing that you wanted to do, or that you had this success, or whatever it is. I'm actually mirroring that because I can find it pretty easy to do, to either that I can feel that emotion pretty quickly, or I can at least empathize with them to the point of saying, you're feeling this emotion, tell me more about it. It's this kind of curiosity approach to things. Tell me more. Sometimes that's all you have to say. Tell me why you feel that way. Tell me more. I want to know. I want to know what you're going through. And then you shut up and you listen. And I know that may not sound like something that an 8 would do. You think an 8's supposed to be yelling at people and pointing their finger and telling them what to do. But if you're the sexual subtype of an 8, there's definitely more of this therapy concept of it. That we are looking for other people to be our therapist, and we're looking to be other people's therapists. Think about Dr. Phil. I think would be an example of this. It's not my way or the highway. It's no, I'm wanting to connect with you because that's what human relationships are all about. So if you're a man who thinks that way, you can understand naturally, women are going to understand you better, and you're going to understand women better. Because emotions are the ultimate language of females, whereas men by default are more about logic and facts. And that's okay, because again, remember, women, the female energy is chaos, conflict, and emotional turmoil. They're always looking for a man who is more emotionally stable than they are to counter those things and instead bring stability and calmness and logic. But as a man who is emotionally attuned, being this sexual subtype of 8, I'm able to fully acknowledge and validate a woman's emotions or a man's emotions, both, but specifically women, very easily and very effortlessly without trying to imply too much logic and stability. Again, I'm not trying to necessarily make someone who's feeling sad better. That's not the goal. The goal is to allow that person to feel something, to feel that emotion, and say, hey, and this is one of my new sayings, you're not crazy. That's a great phrase to use. You're not crazy. Because a person may feel like, oh man, I'm being too dramatic because I'm being vulnerable and sharing this emotion with this person. But if that other person can say, you're not crazy, I would imagine that you would feel that way. Tell me more about it. Then you become, as a man, I'm still able to carry this calmness and this strength. And I'm putting that person in a situation where they want to be vulnerable, because that's the whole concept of how relationships are built, through emotional vulnerability. But it's not something that men are necessarily good at. But if you happen to be a man who is this subtype, it's already part of you. Nobody has to teach this to you. Now, as I've learned that this is my subtype in my Enneagram, yeah, my life makes a lot more sense. Now, I will say this. I know females who are Enneagram 8s and a sexual subtype, and my experience is they are able to speak that language, I'm going to say, in a bilingual way, just like I can. It doesn't matter if you're a man speaking to woman, woman to woman, man to man. You're able to really get straight to it a lot quicker. So I've said before, like, I'm not the kind of person who asks, how are you doing? No, for me, I'm asking other questions to find out how they're feeling. So I may actually ask them, what have you been up to this week? I start out with some kind of action, and then I want to see, what did they tell me that they did? Was it something exciting and fun and adventurous? Or was it something like that made them feel lonely or sad? I ask them, what did you do this weekend, so that I can draw out the emotion. And then when they tell me the thing, then I get ready to validate that emotion for them. That's, to me, a lot better of a conversation than, how was your weekend? That may seem emotional, like I'm baiting them emotionally, but I get them talking about themselves first, and then we're going to pull the emotion out from that. Now, am I doing this to manipulate people? Absolutely not. I've just been this way my whole life, but now I understand why I'm wired to do it. Because as an Enneagram 8, it's all about basically having power and control. And yes, someone could misuse this power to manipulate people. It's true. But I believe that most human beings are not trying to do that. And if you have this Enneagram and the subtype, you're actually using this because ultimately, if we really look underneath what's going on, an Enneagram 8 is a person who doesn't want to be alone. I think a lot of Enneagram 8s, what they run into is they realize that they actually do feel alone because no one else can match their intensity. So while it is rare to find someone who can match your intensity, you'll settle for all the other people around you that, if you're 10 out of 10 on intensity, they may be 2 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, but you'll settle for that. You'll pour as much as you can into making that connection there. So ultimately, that's what I have observed about all this, that it's interesting the way genders kind of get swirled around a little bit in this. You can be a very masculine man, but yet connect with women very easily through emotional language. And you can be a female who's able to connect that much easier with other men by drawing out, maybe they have less emotion to draw, but you can intensify that much more and draw it out. So I love that it can be either gender, but we still see this sort of mix between, let's see, this masculine intensity and strength, but this emotional vulnerability that we would see more so with the female. I would love to hear from you. Your comments belong right here.